sit until he joins us. Sometimes he gets called away unexpectedly and can't give us notice, so. Give Mary a moment to sit down and then, actually don't sit. I'm going to ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we do have a couple changes to our agenda this evening. Item number 2, Guardian Self-Storage, was not advertised appropriately, so we're not going to open that public hearing. It has been postponed now until next month. And then item number 10, we are not, the Stewart Shops Corporation, we are not going to have any discussion on that because the planning board has not had an opportunity to circulate or declare themselves lead agency yet. So it's just not appropriate for this board to have a discussion on that. So with that being said, our upcoming meetings are going to be Tuesday, April 14th and Tuesday, May 12th. I do have a set of minutes from February 10th to approve. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
And Barbara's going to abstain. All right, our first item on the agenda this evening is we do have a decision related to an appeal that this board has reviewed a number of times already and held a couple nights of public hearings on. So we'll go through that. Again, there is no public hearing because of Guardian Self-Storage lack of publicity. And then we'll go right to the reviews. Some of these we've seen, but most of these are going to be new. First time we'll walk through what the requests are about. So with that being said, we're going to jump right in. Item number 1, Appeal 3701, Bermudez, Martha Bermudez, 24 Canterbury Court, Hopewell Junction, is requesting an 11-foot sideline variance for an existing in-ground pool, a 5-foot sideline variance for the existing pool patio, and a 20-foot sideline variance for the pool equipment pursuant to Section 194-95 of the zoning ordinance. Would somebody like to offer the...
All right, this is appeal number 3701. Applicant Martha Bermudez. The project is an 11-foot sideline variance for an existing in-ground pool, a 5-foot sideline variance for an existing pool patio, and a 20-foot sideline variance for pool equipment pursuant to Section 194-95 of the zoning ordinance, located at 24 Canterbury Court, Hopewell Junction. Resolution offered by zoning member Barbara Barossa. Whereas this action is a Type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on December 3rd and December 24th, 2014, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on December 9th, 2014, and January 13th, 2015. And this is an appeal by Martha Bermudez, 24 Canterbury Court, Hopewell Junction, in which she is requesting an 11-foot sideline variance for an existing in-ground pool, a 5-foot sideline variance for an existing pool patio, and a 20-foot sideline variance for the pool equipment, pursuant to Section 194-95 of the Town of East Fishkill zoning ordinance. Section 194-95 is entitled Private Swimming Pools and Tennis Courts, and subsection C provides setback requirements. All swimming pools and/or tennis courts shall be set back from lot lines at least 25 feet from sidelines and rear lot lines. Such pool and/or tennis court shall not be located in any required front yard. This appeal was the subject of 2 reviews held on September 10, 2014 and November 12, 2014, and 2 public hearings held on December 9, 2014 and December 13, 2015.
January 13th.
January 13, 2015, when this board closed the public hearing and reserved decision. At the first public hearing on December 9, 2014, Chairwoman Drummond summarized the 2 reviews and what had been learned by the board during these reviews, as reflected in the following adopted minutes of the board. Mrs. Bermudez was present. Chairwoman Drummond summarized that the board has reviewed this application twice already. There were some concerns that the building permit filed by the applicant showed a different placement on the application than where the pool was actually placed. The application stated that the pool was going to be 26 feet in from the property line, which would give 1 foot of room within the setback. When being constructed, the pool was moved over significantly. The original constructed patio was put around the pool, and an additional patio was added on sometime later. The second patio with a red decorative stone around it ended up encroaching on the neighbor's property. Part of the patio has no setback. The condition now is that it is extended onto the neighbor's property. The applicant did, as a result of the first conversation with the board, have a conversation with the neighbor about a lot line realignment that would allow Mrs. Bermudez to get more of the neighbor's property, and the neighbor would get some other portion of Mrs. Bermudez's property. The neighbor was not interested. The applicant at the last meeting represented that she would remove part of the patio and move the fence in to minimize the variance need for the patio. It does not change the variance needed for the pool. Subsequent to the last review, Chairwoman Drummond did hear from the town engineer that the town had advised a pool owner who had placed the pool in the wrong place, who was told to either remove the pool or to come to the zoning board. The owner removed the pool. It is certainly one of the options that this board can consider at this point. The board would like to hear from the neighbors on this. Chairwoman Drummond asked Mrs. Bermudez if there was anything else that she would like to offer. Mrs. Bermudez wanted to clarify that the red stone is not actually a patio. It is decorative stone that was put in before and is around the fence. Mrs. Bermudez also had letters from some of her neighbors, that she turned in to the board to be part of the record. A number of key issues and background information were adduced by the board at the public hearings held on December 9th, 2014 and January 13th, 2015. 1. The applicant's in-ground pool is 20 feet by 40 feet and has been there for approximately 5 years. Also, this in-ground pool has a unique history. The Bermudez family obtained a building permit from the town before their pool contractor constructed the pool in its present location. Thereafter, a certificate of compliance was issued by the town after the in-ground pool was inspected to ensure it was constructed properly. 2. As proof of the town inspection, this board received a memo dated November 13th, 2014 by Deputy Zoning Administrator Mary Mintz, which states, "This memo is to advise you that when I performed the final inspection for the in-ground pool, at the above referenced address, a man was present. I asked him if he was sure that the pool met the setback requirements. He assured me that the required setbacks were maintained." 3. There's confusion as to how the applicant's in-ground pool came to be located in such a location that 3 variances, one for the pool itself, are required. The next-door neighbor, George Weisner, hired Michael E. Gillespie, a local PE, physical engineer, who wrote to Mr. Wiseman in a letter dated December 8th, 2014. As understood, your neighbor is seeking approval from the Town of East Fishkill Zoning Board of Appeals for an area variance for a pre-existing pool. As per your request, this office has taken the survey provided and superimposed the location of the septic tank, effluent line from the tank to distribution box and tile field. Based upon this overlay and the proposed dimensions of the pool as provided during the original building permit application, the pool could not have been installed in location as proposed without the relocation of the effluent line that goes from the septic tank to the distribution box. 4. There seems to be no question that the applicant, Bermudez at 24 Canterbury Court, and the immediate neighbor, Weisner at 20 Canterbury Court, never benefited by obtaining surveys to physically lay out the property line, or by learning where their property lines were located. If either route had been explored by either or both parties, there would not have been the confusion or misunderstanding that the parties later experienced. 5. At the public hearing held on December 9th, 2014, the next-door neighbor, George Weisner, spoke at length concerning his plight as the next-door neighbor to a property owner with an in-ground pool which needs 3 variances. In the end, Mr. Weisner stated that a lot line adjustment application was discussed, but not agreed upon, that screening or a fence would not help, and he just wants the pool where it belongs. 6. At the public hearing on January 13, 2015, Sean Stelter spoke. He lives at 19 Canterbury Court, across the street from the Bermudez and Weisner families. Mr. Stelter underscored that he was not at the public hearing for or against his 2 neighbors. He explained that he tried to obtain a 15-foot sideline variance for a swimming pool last year and was denied. Mr. Stelter stated that if the Bermudez variances were to be granted, he did not understand how 2 identical variance requests, each in the same development with identical lot sizes, could produce an entirely different decision. 7, the board explained to Mr. Stelter that there are differences between the Stelter and Bermuda's variance applications. The board offered plaudits to Mr. Stelter, who came in and followed the process and requested a variance ahead of time. The board emphasized that there is a significant difference with the Bermuda's application in that the town building department did review the building permit and did a site visit after the construction was completed. And in the end, the Bermuda's family was issued a certificate of compliance by the town building department. In reviewing any area variance application, the ZBA is required to review the balancing test and the 5 factors as recited in New York State Town Law Section 267-B3B. In making its determination, the Zoning Board of Appeals shall take into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted, as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. In making such determination, the board shall also consider 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. 2, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. And 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which considerations shall be relevant to the decision of the Board of Appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. In looking at the 5 factors, this board concludes as follows. 1, an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood, as it would give a sideline variance contrary to what the town has intended for pools. One of the negative consequences of pools is that their use generates noise by both the users enjoying the recreation and the motorized pool equipment needing to run for several hours each day. 2, the benefit sought by the applicant, 3 variances for a pool and its related features, can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. For example, by the relocation and/or reduction of the pool size, patio sizes, relocation of the pool equipment and fence, etc. The point is that the applicant has options available to the applicant other than pursuing the requested 3 variances. 3, the requested 3 variances are substantial. The variance percentages are substantial when viewed from the perspective that the town rarely grants a variance for the 25-foot setback in section 194-95. 4, the board believes that the proposed variances will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or zoning district. In short, the applicant's pool and its related features are on top of the Wisner property at present time. 5, the alleged difficulty is clearly self-created. The difficulty arises from the applicant's construction of their pool, violating the required setback, 25 feet. The applicant was clearly aware of the 1 foot of leeway when she submitted her application for the building permit. The applicant also stated that her husband was present each day during the construction of the pool, so one can assume that he would have been consulted before the pool contractor relocated the pool before they began digging. The resulting pool location was obviously not consistent with the placement on the building permit plan. It should be noted that the ZBA is concerned about other issues that would result if this board were to grant the 3 variances. A, the detrimental precedent that such granting would result in and have an effect on hundreds of pools in the town of East Fishkill, in place now or to be placed in the future. Town residents would effectively observe that pursuing the variance after the fact would help them to achieve their required result better than applying for the variance before anything is constructed. B, the disregard that such granting would have upon the town board's legislation and legislative intent regarding the 25-foot setback required by section 194-95. Should be noted that previous zoning regulations required only a 10-foot setback, but that setback was expanded in 1985 to recognize the importance of additional distance between the neighbors, especially those with pools. Therefore, for all the reasons recited herein, the board hereby denies the 3 variances sought by the applicant. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Okay, before we get a second, we need to make one correction on the top of page 3, where it speaks to George Weisner hired Michael Lesby to write a letter. It was a letter that says to Mr. Weissman, but I believe it should be Mr. Weisner.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So
correct.
with that one correction, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now, John, Jim is actually in the room and was here for the whole reading of the resolution, so should he actually come back to the table and,
I would think so.
yeah, I would think
He walked in as
we
you did
should
the
have
intro.
him be present for the vote.
He just sat on the wrong side.
Thank you, Mary.
Different perspective, I'm not sure.
So now that I have Jim seated at the table, votes as follows. Jim?
Aye.
Aziz?
Aye.
Tara? Barbara?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So that is our decision. I'm going to send this down to Pam because there were, just correct those typos. All right, so item number 2 is not going to be heard. The applicant did not, as I previously stated, the applicant did not advertise properly. So we're up to item number 3, which is a review. At this point, there is not going to be any additional no public comment on our reviews. We're just going to work through whatever the issues are on each of these applications. So we're going to start with item number 3, Appeal 3712 Scheuer. Elizabeth Scheuer, 4730 Fieldstone Road, Bronx, New York, is requesting a 38-foot rear line variance for a proposed barn addition to her property located at 32 Phillips Road, Hopewell Junction, pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Is anybody here from Ms. Scheuer? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion? John, we should take a motion to consider this application abandoned because she hasn't,
We'll make a motion to deem the application abandoned, yes.
okay, because there's been nobody here representing this application for the last at least 2 meetings, and we did send her a letter
Right.
bringing that to her attention. So I have
I'll
such a
make a
motion.
motion to
Deem
deem
the
the application abandoned and to refund her the difference.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Let me just make a note. So Pam, please send another letter advising her of such, okay? All right, item number 4, Appeal 3716, Three Daughters Holding Company, Lehigh Landscaping. Three Daughters Holding Company, Lehigh Landscaping, 10 Sprout Creek Court, Wappingers Falls, is requesting a 92-foot front line variance for 2 existing concrete storage bins, an existing 18-foot by 36-foot hoop house, and 3 fuel storage tanks, 1 400-gallon gas tank, a 300-gallon diesel tank, and a 300-gallon off-road diesel tank pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Is anyone here for Lehigh Landscaping? Seeing none, do I have a motion to put this on for second call at the end of the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Item number 5, Appeal 3717, Correo, Michael Correo. Let me read this. R. Michael Correo, 49 West Hook Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 17-foot rear line variance for an existing 1,440 square foot detached garage. The existing house is a 2,500 square foot house footprint pursuant to Section 194-107C of the zoning ordinance. The applicant has a new application in that relates to this. So as much as we have a request from the applicant to delay the discussion of this, it does relate to a further item number 8. So he's requested that we not have this specific discussion. It is going to relate to our discussion of item number 8, okay? So
Fine.
everybody hold that thought, and we'll just keep moving on here. Item number 6, not even 20 minutes in, and we're already on item number 6. Appeal 3718, Hamdi, Rasha A. Hamdi, 17 Prentice Drive, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 6-foot sideline variance for an existing above-ground pool and a 12-foot sideline variance for an existing pool deck pursuant to Section 194-95 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sadorius Hamdi. I'm the son of Rasha Hamdi, residing at 17 Prentice Drive. I'm just going to start quickly. I mean, I did include a narrative in my application. I just would like to describe the site itself, the difficulty of the site. These sites were created, they're quite narrow and long along the site. Also, this particular site, the septic field itself almost consumes the entire immediate backyard. And also there's a slope in the site beyond the septic field that is fully embedded with field rock. Actually, that requires blasting if anything is going to happen. Also, the back of this property is the parkway, unfortunately. So there are three difficulties that came with this site. The reason for the quick decision about creating that above ground pool because of health issues, as I included also in the application for my mother, that was actually suggested to do some therapy because of the operation that I indicated in the application, which is complete thyroidectomy. Initially, the quick decision that I made as an architect was off-the-shelf type pool, and it was a round pool that we created in that particular location as well, because that's the only flat location that can clear the existing expansive septic field. And we kept that for a year, the off-shelf, which cost about $400, but it was very difficult for her to get in and out, actually, and she slipped several times. And on top of it, that particular type pool, flimsy type walls that eventually failed at the end of that year. So that pool was taken down. And the second decision that I actually made is a proper above-ground pool, as I indicated, and I took the picture at the time. And that's image number 7 on page A2. And as you can see, it sits 6 feet over due to the fact that the last pipe of the septic field has to be cleared. I could not create any weight on top of that pipe. And I kept that pool in that location as bare as it looks in that photograph for several months, and my mother actually had to cope with it because, I was still thinking of a better option to create a pool. But again, unfortunately, because of the septic field location, there was no other options that I could go for. So pursuant to that, to finalize the design, a deck was created around the pool to make it easy for her to access the pool. And the creation for that particular design, there are several reasons why I did it the way I did it. The number one reason was safety reasons, to make sure that the pool can be accessed from all sides of the pool. And as you can see on the floor plan, sketch number 1 on A1, the bulk of the deck sits on the property. On the left side of the deck, which is basically, that sits in the setback, is basically just a pathway and a retrieving alcove for where the stairs for the pool is located. The second reason for that particular design is because the short end of the deck, unfortunately, because to me as an architect, I would have liked to have the pool to be parallel to the house for lateral support. It's a better lateral support for that anchored part of the lower deck. But I couldn't. So based on that, because I have the short end of the deck towards that lower deck, which basically became the anchored part of that pool to make it rigid in terms of construction, I consulted with my brother, who's a structural engineer, creating the 4 sides of the pool to box in the deck to create that lateral support and that lateral structural rigidity in the deck itself was necessary, as we found out. And also the third reason, for maintenance purposes. I take care of the pool for her all the time, but when nobody's around, for her to be able to reach from all sides of the pool for maintenance. And last but not least, I hope you would agree with me as an architect, for aesthetic reasons, to kind of try to conceal the above-ground pool. And that's pretty much the application. So,
All right, so let me start with some questions.
Sure.
You don't have a whole lot of dimensions on here. What is the size of the pool?
It's 15 by 30.
Because that's pretty significant for an above-ground pool. How long, so you're admitting you put this pool in. How long has the pool been on the premises?
Probably a little over 2.5 years.
2.5 years?
Shows in the aerial photos since at least 2009.
Well, you had one that came down, you said.
Right, we had one that was temporary.
When did the first one go up? Let's ask the question
2009
that way.
aerial.
Well, she had the surgery in 2008, so anytime above, beyond 2008.
So 2009 area photo would be correct, it was just the prior pool?
Partially, yes.
What does that mean partially?
One of the temporary pool came up immediately after the surgery, but that was a temporary pool off the shelf type pool. I don't know,
Right.
the $400 ones. And then this particular one went up, and then it was left there as bare as it looks for that entire summer. And I think 2011 when I started building the deck around it.
Okay, so the pool's been there for more than 2.5 years. I asked the question, when was the pool installed?
The pool itself, past 2010, correct. Like 2010 on.
This
Or
sheet
2000
pulls out
I really-
2009 aerials from
Okay.
GIS.
Okay.
Which
All right, so
seems to be
it's
what's being
probably
agreed.
been there for 5 years, some form of a pool.
Right, and
Has
the
been
deck,
there without a permit, right? Did you get a permit
Not yet.
to construct this?
Not
yet? Okay,
Because it doesn't meet the setback.
well,
Well, you could have applied for a permit. A permit was never applied for, correct?
it wasn't applied for, but the reason for that, it's literally, it was as I put the pool up, I was thinking for alternatives because I wanted it to be temporary. That pool would have been taken down if I found other solutions, but I couldn't. So I continued the design on the deck, and it was literally a one-man job. I did it myself.
but you are an architect, so you are aware that permits are required to
absolutely.
construct pools. Has this pool been inspected? Does it have a safety and electrical inspection? Is it properly grounded and?
It still needs more work. Like I did, it's a one-man job. I did the entire work myself, piece by piece. And unfortunately, at the time where the economy hit, in 2009, we could not really afford hiring somebody to complete it at once. So that's why I built the pool section by section. Even the deck itself, it was done in stages for my mother to use it at a time, literally because of financial reasons.
Is there a gauge?
Yes, there is actually a gate. And the two things that I still need to do for the deck is the grounding part of it, and also,
So but your mother's using a pool that's not properly grounded.
right, but it's not connected. It's a plug-in filter that's within the code. It's allowed 20 feet for an extension cord. Never plugged in when she's in the pool. When she's outside the pool to maintain it, she actually plugs it in and maintains it, and then unplug the pool. There's no electrical wiring while she's in it.
Okay, so again, I don't have measurements, what's the decking? The decking that looks like it extends out over your septic fields, so there's got to be some footings that you've now put in your extensive septic fields
It's
here.
in between. It straddles the septic. I was able to straddle the septic with the decking, but not the pool itself, because the heavy weight is actual pool. If I was able to push the pool completely over, I would have, to conceal the entire pool on the
So
property.
what is the dimension of the decking?
It's 1/16 of an inch, if you give me 1 second.
Well,
Looks like they would need
you had the two
7 foot.
dimensions, one from the pool, and then you had the one to the sideline. So the difference between those is what? 4 feet 2 inches wide alongside the
But the-
sideline.
Well, that's
It's not
the
a 6
setback,
foot.
that's not the dimension of the deck.
Yeah,
that
that's
she
the-
has.
I know, that's just that along there. That
But
width
the-
of that walkway is then 4 feet 2 inches.
They would need a 7-foot
So,
sideline variance,
then-
not 6 foot.
Then you got 13 feet there, so that's, yeah, I mean,
That's 12,
yeah.
you need 25 feet.
So the width of the decking is?
Right, but which part? Because I can give you, literally when I applied for the application, I was told to give the dimension for where I'm intruding into the setback, that's why.
Right, so let's start along that side. Along that side, what is the width of the decking, or along the side of the pool?
May I come over and ask you exactly which one?
Sure, come on up.
And actually, I do have a full increment model to show you exactly
Well, I'm asking, what is this width right here?
That's 3'10".
Okay, so it's not overly large, that's what I'm getting at. Okay, what's this area here? I mean, if that's 3'10", I'm gonna guess this is probably only about 5 feet.
The width of that one?
You're going this way, from here to here. I'm going from the edge of the pool. It probably is a little bit bigger because that's where the pool goes in.
It's about 7'6".
7'6", okay. This side you're okay on, so, all right, and what is this area here?
That is an existing low deck. That's 1 foot above, so it's considered a patio.
A 1-foot deck is considered a patio, 1 foot off the ground?
Any structure of...
No, that's not true.
No,
It has to
that's
be
not
on the
true.
ground.
A patio is on the ground.
No, I understand, but this was actually an existing condition that was...
The
was given-
existing
Doesn't-
deck had a permit.
Yes, but it's still...
Do we have to deal with this fact that it's within the setback?
Now we do, yes, because they gave the wrong information when it was,
But it's 1 foot above the ground.
Doesn't matter.
By code, I thought. and
If it was
it's-
a patio, if it's less than 15 feet, it would still need a variance.
Okay, but it said that it's not considered, I would look into it, but it was an existing condition.
because when
We
they
understand
applied
that.
for the building permit for that
Probably
deck,
meets
they
15.
said that they had a 32-foot setback. But that was on the opposite side of the house. This side of the house does
25.
not have the right
So
setback.
when the building permit was applied for the existing deck, this existing deck, the one on the back of the house and the side of the house, your application stated there was 32 feet. The 32 feet's on the other side of the house, not on this side. So,
That deck was before my mother bought the house.
understood. But it's not, what was applied for on the building permit is not accurate. And so while we're fixing this,
Oh, okay, that's fine.
or
No.
whatever we're going to do, we should be addressing that as
Okay.
well, okay?
And there's a canopy type of structure on that side of the deck that juts out, so if he's gonna keep that, that's gonna require a variance.
Okay,
as
so
well.
this 1 foot off the ground has a roof to it?
No.
There's something over there.
There's
There's
no
some type
canopy
of
to
roof
it, there's
kind
no...
of structure over top the side of
Right,
the
but I
deck.
don't know why you're attacking me for some reason.
It's not attacking, it's just informing us.
May I show you the model? There is actually, it's a bar type, but it's on the side of the pool that is...
No, we're not talking about the pool.
No, on this, where this juts out, there's some type of
Here-
a
here, is
canopy
there
type
a-
of structure.
Which is aligned with the property line.
Is there a canopy?
Is there a canopy
Right
here? No, okay, so you're saying along here, but this I'm not worried about, because this meets your
There
setback.
is no canopy here.
Okay, so Mary, he's saying the existing deck that's in the back of the house that meets the setback requirements, that's where the canopy is. And not on the side of the house. Okay,
If you're facing the house, it's on the left-hand side of the deck, and I believe it's the part that juts out.
okay.
I mean, it's the furthest part of the structure to the,
No, did you really?
I've never seen it. This is canopy. It's not on that part of the deck. It's on...
I got trees in my way.
The canopy is on the long side of the deck that is aligned with the house, not on the one that juts out.
Okay.
And I have a template of the actual septic field, how long, I mean, if you want me to bring it. I'm straddling one pipe under this deck that extends to there, and the entire septic field is here.
Okay. But
So
your
did you
prop-
actually locate that last pipe?
No, it was existing.
No, did you actually do something to actually locate the precise location of that last
Yes,
pipe?
because if you have time...
Did you dig it up, is my question.
Yes, I did, no, I did dig it up, yes. I dig up part of it to locate the actual quarry where they cover the pipe as well. All the other pipes, you can actually see them because there's a depression in the lot.
Well, or the fields are greener in the summertime, you can tell them.
There's a huge depression that I still have to address. For
Okay.
all the pipes, you can see them throughout the entire site.
Okay, your property goes back extensively, sorry, I don't mean to, make it look like I'm gonna hit you. Your property goes well back here. Why couldn't the pool go back here?
As you can see, there's not even one level area This is all rock.
Okay, but you're gonna have a machine there anyway to dig out the ground. Why couldn't a machine, while it's there, level it out?
For another reason, safety. The pool that far from the house. Second,
Safety in what way?
someone was using it, my mother basically, at all times, somebody watching, the pool, making the pool closer to the house, in my opinion, would be much safer condition for her, to be heard by somebody.
But you have a large deck that somebody could be out there with her, you know what I'm saying?
I'm saying just in case nobody's there, the neighbors, somebody can hear. Plus, there's another reason. The parker is here. You stand right there, you can see cars going by, you can hear them.
Hold on.
About 170 feet from the house.
Iconic Street Parkway.
Yes.
Right, but you're here.
Right, but the house, see that dimension,
I mean, if this, it's at least,
50 feet, so you're talking 150, 100, 150 to the Taconic. Literally, if you come and visit the site,
if this is 50 and so it's 25%, you've got 3/4 of your lot is still behind you at least before you get to the Laconic. Because if you're saying 170, if this is 50 and then you go to 170?
I can give you the exact dimension, but you're more than welcome to visit the site. It is not a very big site. You can hear the cars, you can see the cars.
Yeah, but your mother bought the lot
No, I understand.
with those existing conditions.
Right, but
And with all that room, you could put up some shielding fence or
Right.
something to block some of the noise. The difficulty is, we could have had all these discussion if the permit was applied for and you needed a variance before you put it up. Now you've invested a lot and you're asking us to, again, prove something after the fact, and it's not something that needs to be encouraged.
no, I completely understand.
I have a lot of difficulty with the fact that somebody's using a pool that has no,
Yeah, well, that's one reason why.
if you're worried about safety,
Absolutely.
I just don't see how you could have somebody using a pool that's,
And,
doesn't have all
If you had
its
come to see us and you said,
inspections.
gee, I want a 15 by 30 and I need a setback, we probably would have told you make it 12 feet wide.
right?
Bring it within a foot or two, and maybe we can do this because your backyard's consumed by your septic drain field,
All right, this pool's been here for years now. Why are you coming in now?
The building department had requested for me, and it's not even finished yet, so
Well, it's not supposed to be finished yet.
We saw that there was no building permit on file
Yeah.
for it.
Okay, so he's coming in as a result of a
And then when he
violation.
came in to apply for the building permit, he told us that he was only 15 feet from the property line, so we told him he had to apply for a variance.
because I was ready to finish the pool, apply for the variance, and the as-built condition, because I already...
That's not a good comment to make.
No, I completely understand, and I completely apologize for the procedure of how it was done, but I certainly have faith in the panel when you're dealing with your mother, you have to think fast, you have to do something as fast as I could, and I literally was...
Yeah, but come on. The doctor's note says that the pool is just one area of therapy
But-
that could help.
one main area. And, when it comes to a mother, I don't know, we were all in a panic mode, and literally, and my mother has always been a housewife, and as collectively, as kids, we try to support her as much as we could. So when that thing came up, the multiple surgeries, that was a literally, that's why we bought the off-the-shelf pool, because we were just trying to make a quick solution for what we were told.
She can't use this pool in the wintertime, all fall, winter, so what does she do then?
Well, I close it for about 3 to 4 months. So, but I open it mid-March, like now, within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we'll be open, and we close it at the end of October.
So you're also operating a pool heater on it, too?
It's a solar panel.
So again, you've got more technology being used here on a pool that's not properly grounded.
But it's a solar system. I don't know.
I understand, I'm just,
No, I know.
Solar panels require permits.
yes.
Where are the solar panels in this pool?
It's on top of the canopy that I just showed you in the model, the one that by the house. And this is something that you buy from like Namco. It's not the glass type panel, it's the plastic one. It's off the shelf solar
So
heating.
what does it do? It pumps the filter water up
Correct.
through it and then goes down the wall?
Correct. It's plastic, black plastic
I understand.
panels, and they just pump.
But it's hooked up to electric, correct?
No, it's the filter.
The filter pumps
It's the
it.
filter, pumps it.
Usually we get an electrical inspection for solar panel installation.
Right.
This is not a solar panel.
This is not solar-produced electricity. All it is a panel that the filter pumps the water through. It's black plastic, so it heats it up a little bit.
But how does the filter pump it through? Electric?
But that's the same thing. It's not separate for the panel. The filter should have a proper electrical inspection, correct? I'm not arguing that point, but this itself, I don't think would be required. But still, you know, and to say you're aware of it, but you're gonna come in and try to get an as-built,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an indication that you knew what you were doing wasn't consistent.
Oh, and he's a licensed
No.
architect. I really,
Yeah, it's not like, you know, you're a homeowner and you think, well, okay, everybody has a shed in the backyard, so I put mine up, and then find out, oops, I needed a permit for that shed. I didn't know a 10 by 12 needed it.
I agree with
That's a
you.
little bit different.
I agree with you, but as I mentioned in image number 5, I kept the pool bare because I was still looking for other solutions to do that. And since I did the work myself,
I've heard everything you've said, so you were keeping it bare, but then you decided this is where it's gonna stay.
how close is your neighbor's home on that side?
he's about 12 feet. You mean the, well,
That's your property line. How close is their actual home? Pool filters make noise.
right, I have the filter, I thought about it. The filter is actually, if I can show you on the...
Sure, come on out.
I thought about it. I did full consideration with that as well.
Which plan you want to look at?
The 12 by 17, oh, the filter sits right there.
All right, that helps. So that's farthest away from the property line. It's,
And that's why I said the bulk of the deck itself was on, wherever I was able to do that on the property, I just did it. The hardest part was the pipe, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have concealed the entire thing. Otherwise, I would have rotated the entire pool, because that's what I would have liked to have at this house.
it's what?
You're saying the pool is 60 feet from your house?
Yeah.
From my house, yeah, that'll be at least that close.
So you're saying you have at least 40 feet from your sideline to your house? Is that 35 feet? Do you know how?
At least, yes.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Norma? Yeah, there's the shed that on the
Oh, I'm
opposite
sorry.
side,
I
but I'm
am.
not
Look at
sure
my
if it
notes.
meets setbacks. Because if the
Okay,
house
there's
is
two more issues. Now, one is, are there two kitchens in this house?
There are.
Okay, why are there two kitchens?
It's an in-law. It's a mother-daughter. That's that way the house was bought.
It has, so you have an accessory apartment in your,
No,
there's
it's,
two, but there's two kitchens.
right, but that's how it was with the house. I'm confused. It was,
All right, that's not what
building
your building
permit-
card shows for this house, so.
The building permit and the CO and a letter from the original person said that it would be a 4-bedroom house with 1 kitchen. And there was never any other permit after that to change it.
I mean, your floor plan is where we see there's two kitchens. The floor plan you laid out for us, so we've got to address the fact that you have two kitchens. It's not, this is not a single-family home with an accessory apartment. You have somebody else living there, or?
well, my sister's at the house, but literally I showed it in my plans because that's how it was bought. The kitchen was upstairs, another kitchen was downstairs.
This looks like it's all on one, but it's...
Yeah,
It's his first floor.
Yeah, it's all on the same level here.
not a good diagram.
It shows two.
Did you have a
Oh, I'm sorry,
Sir.
that's a mistake. This is a living room, and that's a kitchen. It's a typo on, I'm sorry, that's a typo on the plan.
Did
There
you
is
have a title search done when you bought the house? When your mother, did she have a title search done?
We did a title search. We did it in 2003. That was her first home. Literally, we did everything we could. There was a partial kitchen upstairs and the one downstairs, and it was called as an in-law type.
So there's a partial kitchen. Define
Upstairs.
a partial kitchen. Refrigerator, stove.
Yeah, there's a refrigerator and stove and sink. But that was existing with the house. Literally came with the house.
Again, but that's not,
They didn't have permits to do that.
Right.
The certificate of occupancy we have is for a one-family dwelling as per attached statement, and the attached statement says that I, John Vignona, hereby swear that my house on Prentice Drive, East Fishkill, is and will remain a one-family dwelling with one kitchen and 4 bedrooms. Further, no alteration will be undertaken contrary to the above.
What date is that?
1974, but there were never any other permits taken out to do any kind of alteration renovation.
So you've
to
got to
add
address the
another
fact that your house isn't even properly configured right now. Not your mother's house.
I mean, I would look into it. I really don't know. This is how the house came. Along with the deck that you just mentioned, that's how it was.
Okay. The other issue is there a shed on the property?
Yes.
Okay, where is the shed?
It's the end of the driveway,
What does that mean at the end of
Ahead
the
of the
driveway?
ahead of the house or behind the house?
behind the house. I'm sorry? It's beyond the back of the house.
Beyond the back of the house or beyond the front of the house? Is it on the side of the house or is it really in the backyard?
No, it's in, like where,
is it between the back line of the house and the septic field?
Or is it between, yeah. Come on up, show us on here, please.
It's along the right side, behind the driveway.
it's right here.
Yep, go ahead.
That's the
Okay.
driveway.
How far from the property?
So it appears that it is behind the rear line of the house. Now, how far in from this property line is it?
That I do not know, actually.
Is it at least 25 feet?
The house itself is 32, I think.
All right, so if I understand, if this is 32 feet, the way you've drawn it in, it looks like it's probably 15 or 16 feet.
Okay. I really have to measure it exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, we have to get an exact measurement because, now, and I do have a question for you. I'm seeing a seal on this, right? Is this your seal?
No. This
No. So have you drawn onto somebody else's seal drawing? Which
Can't do it.
you're not supposed to do?
No,
Violates the education in the state of New York.
It's existing survey, no record, on record with the, that's why I indicated that line. Said it is existing survey with the town.
But the dimensions you've added.
That's why I said that's the dimension that came with the existing survey that's on record with the building department. That's why
Okay.
it was 25 feet.
Right, but all this you've added.
Yes, correct.
All right, we need the dimension of this shed, because again, like this, we've got to address it while it's there. How big is this shed, and how long has it been there?
6 years.
Okay?
6 years, and it's 10 by 12, I think, or I have to measure it again, 10 by 12 or 10?
Because 10 by
I don't
12 is
have-
going to require a permit.
No, 144 square feet.
Oh, it got upped? Okay, all right. Used to be 10 by 10, so, all right, so we need to understand, is it movable? Can you put it in for the full 25 feet, if it's not there now?
Well, I can find a way to move it, but it's not on foundation.
Concrete?
It's on block, 4 blocks.
So, again, can you move it, so we eliminate the need for a variance, or do you need a variance for it?
Well, if I need a variance for it, I'll try to move it, but I have to find a place for it to be moved, because as you can see, the septic field is throughout the backyard. So where to move it to, that's the other question. Unfortunately, the septic field, as I mentioned, consumes the entire backyard.
It doesn't consume the entire backyard. Your backyard goes back 170 feet, you said. So maybe it consumes the entire immediate backyard.
So if that
But
shed has,
why can't it go behind the septic?
I wish you could come and visit the site. I mean, it's in the picture somewhere. I show you how the site slopes up.
Well, you have your thing right there, right? Isn't that accurate?
That is accurate. You see how it slopes up, nothing is
Yeah.
flat except for the septic area. and
So
the front
suppose
of
you
the-
put it right at the edge of the septic field,
That's the-
before it starts to slope up.
It slopes up right literally at the edge of the, I mean, I'm not.
But you
like
could
the front of the
probably,
house.
this is 5 feet, your tank's another 4 feet, 9
Are
feet.
these
another
photographs you're
3
talking
feet,
about?
12 feet. It might fit in there. I don't know.
We're right behind the pool, right there.
See, beyond that point, it becomes to slope up and then it dips down in the property. So the only flat areas are basically the septic field, the leach field, and the front of the house.
So immediately
about
behind the pool.
Right here.
That's the slope area, that's what I was showing you. See, it starts to slope up.
Flying around.
Flying around, make sure I keep them all.
I'm allergic to bees, that's all.
Yeah, it is a bee. If I see it, I'll know it for you.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Yeah, I feel that there's, I think there are many issues that need to be solved before we go forward, so I'd rather suggest to the applicant to go back, have a conversation with the building department, and then come up with dimensions and all the issues in one setting, so that this way we can address the issues.
Well, at a minimum, we need the distance from the shed, or whether or not you can move it. These are the color
Correct,
photos that
correct.
he's talking about, so,
Yeah, it's a huge,
go ahead.
Beyond that deck at the end of the septic field, that's why I said the site starts to slope up and then it dips down as it gets into the wooded area.
I mean, if that's where you need to keep it, that's where you, then you need to tell us that. We need the side yard dimensions so that we know
For the shed?
Something that, you know,
to alert your neighbors what, and we can figure out what the appropriate variance is.
you probably want it.
We also need the dimension to that little jut out
Right.
of the existing deck.
Now, another question about that existing deck, just for my clarification, because when I read in the code, anything 1 foot above the ground does not require a permit or does not consider lot coverage.
Maybe it's not considered lot coverage, but it
But
already
it's
has
still a
a permit
structure.
anyway. It would require a permit if it's not on the ground.
I'm going to reread that provision again in the code,
And
but that's why I was going, again, it was existing, but that's why I did not even put a dimension on there, because it was,
But it still has to be in compliance with the side yard setback.
absolutely, I will
So
put a
that's what
dimension.
we have to address. So we do need the appropriate dimensions of that, so that, again, that can be appropriately
Okay.
noticed as well. So can you come back next month with all that information?
Sure. You want the dimension for the jog of the deck, the lower deck,
The jog of the area on the side of your mother's home,
right?
okay? The dimension for the side of the
Shed.
side yard related to the shed, or whether you can move the shed and eliminate the variance. I think for the rest of it, we have the dimensional information.
and again, about the house issue about with the kitchen and.
Well, yeah, you've got to deal with the issue about the
So
two
there are quite a few
kitchens.
issues, and that's why I said it's better for you to work with the building department, explain to them all your situation, and then get their opinion, and then work towards
Because
resolving
we've got to
them.
deal with an accessory apartment at the same time. Not that
Well,
that's
they're
our,
two separate issues.
they are,
He
right?
should apply for the accessory unit.
Because we
it's a
shouldn't be dealing with
violation
you
on
if
the
if you've got violations on your property.
No, I understand.
Unless
I will.
it's specifically to address the violation.
I will look for the title to see, because it was called an in-law. The previous owner had an in-law, and it was Sullivan, it was not even the original owner, from 1974. So the last owners that we bought the house from, I will review the title, it said an in-law, which already I assume they got the permit for, the CFO for it, an in-law type.
The title
Structure.
said that, or that's the way the brokerage
Well,
described it?
that's why I'm going to go and look at the title now. I mean, that's,
They'll describe it that way, that's what it is.
No, I understand.
It doesn't mean that you had the right, that they had the right
I-
permit.
and I will address it, but that's why I said there were 2 kitchens already in that house, and that deck was already existing on that house. The only thing that was added is the shed and the pool on
Right,
our
deck-
behalf.
The deck does have a permit.
All right, folks, you need to address this with the building department between now and the next meeting, okay? So please make an appointment to see Mary in the building department, and we'll see you next month.
Sure. So three of them, one more time, just to
Okay.
make sure that I'm on the good side. The deck, the lower jog on the deck, and the shed, that's the only two dimensions you need.
Those are the only two dimensions we need at this point.
Okay, great, thanks.
You want him to resubmit that by the next deadline?
We should have, well, he's coming back for another review.
Right, I mean, for that review, or?
So if you can, submit it by the 25th of the month so that Pam can make copies of it for all of us. Otherwise, you're going to have to bring him enough copies for all of us to be able to review it at that next meeting.
And do you want him to come back for the review if he hasn't applied for the accessory
Well,
unit?
you know, he has to deal with, thank you, Mary. If you have not dealt with the issue of the other kitchen, don't come back next month, okay? We need to resolve the issue of the second kitchen before this board will be able to act on it.
Okay, so deal with the building department first.
Because if we've got to deal with the second issue, we need to know that. Not that we have to deal with it, but
Well, the only thing is, if it doesn't meet the 600 feet,
Right.
square feet,
We
we
might
might
have to
need
deal
to
with
give
that.
a variance for that also.
please get to the building department as
I
quickly
will
as
do.
possible.
And no more work without a permit.
Absolutely, but I just wanted to clarify one more time, the two kitchens literally came with the house, so when I,
That happens
All
all
right,
the time.
No, I know.
again, deal with that with the
no,
building
no,
department.
I know.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item number 7, Appeal 3719 Stelter, Sean Stelter, 19 Canterbury Court, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a variance to build a 1,061 square foot pool house, which is over the allowed 750 square foot or 60%. All right, let me finish reading this. Of the footprint of the dwelling, 1323 square feet pursuant to section 194-107D of the zoning ordinance. All right, Mr. Stelter, actually, we actually measured out the footprint of your house the other day, and you don't have to worry about the 60%,
Correct.
right? Because we actually measured your house to be, hold on. I thought I wrote this down.
Ian, do you still have the thing?
Yes, your footprint is actually 2,156 feet as of 2002. So 60%, you're within the 60%. Now,
Correct.
for board members, you need to understand that the code allows a pool house of 375 square feet.
50.
350? Oh, okay, 350 square feet. However, it does allow the provision that the zoning board can approve a variance of up to 750 square feet or 60% of the footprint of the building. So you need no side yard variances for this,
Correct.
right? Where you're proposing to do that. However, you're not totally free. Apparently, there's a shed on your property?
It's already, we've
You
had a
moved
variance
it?
for that for years.
You what?
We've had a variance for that
Yeah,
for
but
years.
it's not in the place where you got approved for a variance. According to the survey that you provided for us, you have a variance in 2002 for 15 feet, and this shed is 5 feet 6 inches from your property line. So it's not where it belongs.
The variance is 15.
Variance is for
Okay.
15 feet, so it should be 10 feet in,
Yeah.
and you have it at 5.5 feet in.
Oops.
I'll have to remeasure it.
You'll remeasure?
I'll have to remeasure that.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a big deal, we just have to clean it up at this point.
Well,
I mean,
I don't know how big this shed is, so I don't know
it's
whether
12
it's
by 24.
movable.
12 by 24.
It's not exactly movable.
Not really. It's
Right.
it's on a enclosed frame with item 4 underneath of it, and there are trees where if you moved it, if you shifted it in, the tree would be right in front of the door.
Okay.
take some pictures for us to see it, so we can see that, please.
Okay.
But again, we may have to add an additional variance to your request to deal with that shed.
That's fine.
Understanding, yes, you did have a variance in 2002, but it doesn't appear that the shed was placed in that location. All right, so in your actual application, if you could just explain why you're making the request that you are?
So my understanding was that the structure could be up to 750 square feet. The reason for the variance request, I'm sorry, I have another really bad cold. The reason for the request is there's a sitting area that is, we want the roof to be attached to the,
It's covered, but
It's
there's no
covered.
sides to it.
right. It's, approximately 20 by 20, about 400 square feet. That's really what puts it over the 750 square foot limit.
So this is part of your patio that the
No.
sitting area is not, but it's
No.
separate?
It would be, the sitting area would be right next to the structure, the actual pool house. It
And
would
you have
share
patio
a
in
roof.
between the pool and the pool house?
Is that actually a pool house, or we have a deck attached to a pool house?
Well, it's not a deck, it would be a patio.
Patio?
A
building
covered
block?
patio.
Well, it's
Covered
covered
patio.
though, so it's part of the structure. The roof is going to have footings.
Yeah, but if you disconnect it by,
Well, it's allowed. It's
Folding.
it's within the 60% of the footprint of his house.
oh, okay, that misunderstood.
Yeah, no, so it's actually allowed.
Oh,
I mean,
But
I could disconnect it
because
by, I could disconnect it by an inch and I wouldn't be here, but it's structurally more sound to have it attached to the structure.
No, it's, the code specifically allows for larger than the 350 square feet as long as the zoning board approves it. The fact that he needs
Oh,
no.
it's 60% or 700.
Right,
Whatever's bigger.
it's the same as
Okay.
size of a detached garage.
I was getting confused as to what you calculate this. He's within the 60%.
He's within the
of
60%, so that's
Okay.
why originally, your original application thought you were not within the 60%, and that's why you thought originally you were gonna need that extra consideration.
we're fine
He
with the
actually
60%.
doesn't need that, and it meets the setback requirements, so
Yeah.
I'm less worried
It's
about it.
just
Yeah,
because
I
they
mean,
just
I-
amended that part of the code that would only allow 350 square feet for additional
Right.
accessory structures.
What you're describing to me was a deck with a pool house attached. Okay, it doesn't make any difference. So
So-
you ready to put it on?
Well, we are, except for we gotta deal with the shed. Is this an actual survey, or is this just
Yes.
somebody drew this up?
That's a survey.
So,
So that 5.6 feet is correct?
Again, I'll have to measure it.
well,
It's
again,
already there.
if a surveyor measured it, their measurement is 5.6.
I'll dou-
5.6.
I'll double check it.
So,
And the fence?
do we need to just address a side yard variance for the shed for another, well, 5 feet? So it's gotta be 20 feet instead of the 15 feet he was approved.
As long as it's not more,
Yeah, this one's
20 feet,
it doesn't say how tall it is.
right? 12 foot by 24 feet, you're not looking to move it.
No.
You'd like us to just deal with it
Yes.
where
I
it
mean, it's been there for 14 years, so nobody's had an issue with it. It's, we put it there because we thought we put it in the correct place where we applied for the variance for. But if we did have to move it, there would be the tree that would be in.
So at the time that you applied for the variance in 2002, it was already in place?
No, absolutely not. We applied for the variance first.
So then it hasn't been there for 14
I
years?
think
Okay.
they issued the variance without an actual survey, I believe. The
Okay.
way it looked that way from what I read the minutes,
Yeah,
but
and when we put it in, we based it on the original line that was drawn out by the developer, right?
Okay.
Not, the surveyor didn't come in. We still have the original markings from where the developer marked it out.
Right,
So
the
that-
survey, okay, but where it is on your lot, you have a deep lot, wooded lot.
Right.
Where it is it visible to your neighbors?
No,
Okay, so does the board have a problem with
it's
also
behind the tree line.
adding a variance to amend the existing variance from 15 feet to 20 feet for the side yard setback for this shed?
I'm fine with
For
it.
shed, I don't care.
All right, so we'll add that to the noticing requirement for next month? All right, do I
can I
have a
just ask
motion?
a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You have an existing wood fence on here. Is that the one that you applied for the building
Yes.
permit?
Yes,
And it's gonna be 2 feet in from the property
it
line?
is 2 feet in, yes.
Okay.
We
making sure
we got an
it's the
updated,
same
we got an
fence.
up- we got an updated survey. We had updated markings put in, and they made sure it was 2 feet off.
Okay, good.
So, do I have a motion for public hearing for next month?
As amended, so moved.
Thank you.
Second,
What?
correct.
No.
No, for the, not for the,
As amended.
because he also needs the variance because the
Because
pool
it
house
exceeds-
is oversized, not because it exceeds the 60%, but because it exceeds the code.
Because
It exceeds the 350. Okay?
Do you have,
So there's still 2 variances needed.
The maximum is 350 unless we say otherwise.
Right. Okay? I think think we're all set. So I have a motion?
Actually,
Go ahead.
Can I see some drawings when you come back
Absolutely.
in of what it's going to look like?
I think there was a drawing circulating already of what this,
We had it.
yeah, I
at
think
the
I
meeting
saw
the
it,
other
that
day.
the town had received it. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Let's just say, I wish I could put it in my own backyard.
It's being modeled after that. It's almost an exact replica.
See, it is just,
Thank you. Just make sure Pam gets one for the file.
Thank you.
All right, it's beautiful, there's no question.
nice backyard.
It will be a nice addition to his yard, okay?
Okay.
So do I have a motion to advertise?
Yeah, and I second it.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Good.
Thank you.
You need, Pam will give you your instructions for your sign, please. All right, item number 8, Appeal 3720. Yes?
we have
Oh, I'm
some
sorry, do we have some
students,
students that
Students
need a
on-
form signed?
You want to
Yeah,
have them
come on up.
sign?
Thank you.
Mr. Stelter, you have to get information from, oh, you gave it to him? I'm sorry, I missed that.
You know better than to come in contact with me, is that it?
Where do I sign? Oh, okay.
Just sign it.
I missed the whole thing.
Anybody else?
It's like a magic trick.
Good.
Sleight of hand.
Meeting attendant, what's today?
And what meeting was this?
Zoning Board of Appeals. Zoning Board of Appeals.
You've been sitting here for an hour and you don't know what meeting you're attending. Ladies. Do you have a copy of the agenda? Yes. Okay.
Look at the title on top.
All right, item number 8, Appeal 3720, Correo, R. Michael Correo, 49 West Hook Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a special permit to redistribute 900 yards of soil on his property, as well as to bring in 3,000 yards of fill, concrete, rock, and soil to level his property in order to build a proposed garage pursuant to Section 194-75 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Hi,
All right.
good evening.
As I said before, this does relate to what we saw last month. That's on hold right now because of the snow. You're not able to get a survey done at the moment. But now I think I'm understanding that if you can get permission to redistribute soil on your property and bring in some more fill, that you'd actually like to move that garage or whatever garage that straddles, your garages were awfully close to the property lines. And so you'd like to be able to move them. But go ahead, you explain it to us.
Well, the one garage is part of it. The addition I put on is over the property line. That's
Right.
coming down. I applied for a demolition permit.
Okay, good.
Then there's an additional garage, we'll say, toward the front that's 4.5 feet off the property, and that was pre-existing. That's going to come down as well.
Okay.
And then I was applying for the variance for the back garage,
Right.
which didn't meet the setback and didn't meet the area. So what I'm looking to do for this variance, actually, it's irregardless of what is approved regarding the other buildings. I do
Okay.
want to move in fill, because right now our parking area is down, we have steps from the parking area to go up to the house.
Okay.
And what we're looking to do is to be able to pull right up, have our parking level with the house.
Okay.
So we're looking to do this irregardless of whether we get the other permits or not, get the
Okay,
other
now,
variances.
the code allows 375 cubic yards of fill without a permit?
Correct.
You're asking to redistribute 900 yards already on your property. That's a lot of alterating change to the topography of your property. Do you have a topo survey? Do you have a topographical do you have like 2-foot contours on your property so that we
Yeah.
can see how much fill is going where and what it's going to do to the rest of your site? I'm specifically concerned about drainage, how drainage might impact your neighbors. Have you had an engineer review of this at all?
Well, I have the topo. No, I didn't have an engineer. I'm under the assumption that there really, I don't see any impact to the neighbor. The one neighbor that is close to me, is on the uphill side, so there's no impact to him. On the back property line is a gravel pit.
Right.
And there's a 100-foot buffer with a berm, and then from there it drops down about 150 feet to a lake and a sand pit. So I don't see any.
To a lake, I mean, that's going to be a concern. You're going to have to make sure you don't have runoff or anything.
Right. We want
That's
to,
going to be a big concern.
thank you, that's exactly my concern. Anything that's now, if you're now pitching your property so that it might be a faster runoff to get down there too.
Well, before that, there's a 100-foot buffer with a berm. There's no way that it can run off onto,
The survey's showing a stream too, isn't it?
yes.
Well, you can't affect the stream either.
During the construction, we have to set up silt fence and other appropriate.
And that's going to have to be done pursuant to the engineer's plan. The design of that silt fence and stuff, I would think.
Okay.
Again, 3,000 yards plus redistributing 900 cubic yard, that's a lot of fill.
And it actually, I put in what the absolute maximum would be, but in reality, it is 600 yards and maybe another 1,500 yards, if that.
Well, this is what you're asking for, so we've got to deal
Okay.
with what you're asking for. And you're
Okay.
asking for 10 times, more than 10 times, what you'd be allowed without anybody's concern, real,
Okay.
real major concern. So, I do think this is going to need some review by an engineer to make sure that you're not going to be impacting any neighbor's property.
Maybe they can give you a more exact estimate of what kind of fill you need to do.
And where's the fill coming from? How's it going to get there? Hours of operation?
All big concerns that we got to have.
I
Okay.
mean, you're talking about just, 3 months of the year and you're done, or so there's going to be constant trucking traffic? Or are you talking about it's going to take you 3 years to do this? That's a lot of fill. So,
So what you're looking for is an engineer's plan stating those,
that the waterway is protected, that any runoff off of the property is not exceeding anything that it should be, and you should be dealing with all of your runoff on your own property. That you can't exceed whatever you're running off now, okay? That the 2-4 contours, that it's, or whatever, the contours, the topographical of the existing property, that filling it in is not going to have any adverse impact to your neighbors or any other environmentally sensitive lands on your property. Do you have wetlands on here if you have the stream? Do you have a buffer to that stream that you need to be clear of?
it's a Class C stream, it's an unprotected stream.
Okay,
See, if you consult with a local engineer, I'm sure he or she's going to know what your requirements are in order to come before the board. And they can explain it to you, make sure that all your i's are dotted, your t's are crossed, it'll be a
Yeah.
much easier presentation. And they'll give you, of course, as an engineer, they should be able to give you a good cost estimate, again, exactly how much fill you need in order to make it acceptable for you to use. And, on one hand, I mean, it's hard to future structure, and maybe working with that, it looks to a certain extent that it's not showing it very well that your planned structures you just want to go in front of them. They may be protecting the back property. But again, an engineer, I think, can address all our concerns. They're going to know what the code requires.
Okay. Assuming we meet all those requirements, is that again too much fill?
Well,
Just in terms of-
one thing I think you need to find out, how did you figure out that you needed to put in almost 4,000 square feet of fill in that spot?
Well, again, I should mend it to 2,200. I actually did the calculations, shot a
So
transit.
you want to move 900, put in
2,200.
another 22, so
Yeah.
a total of about,
No, a total of 2,200,
And how's that break down? That's coming down quite a bit.
yes,
so
You're
total of,
close to 4,000, you're coming down to almost half of that
yes.
now. Okay.
all right, well, then you need to come into the office and amend your application, because we need to be clear on exactly what are we working with.
Okay.
Where's the environmental for this one? This one's going to have a significant impact. We might not be able to get away with a short form. I don't know. So Pam, who's doing the environmental reviews? Somebody in the building department?
Doesn't Michelle look at this, or should we give it to Michelle?
Okay, can we, the town planner's gonna need information to be able to complete the environmental review for this board, to be able to really be clear that what you're looking to do is not gonna have an impact to the environment.
Okay.
All right, so I don't think this is ready. The question's gonna be whether you're gonna be able to get an engineer on board and get the information that you need before April. Do you think you are, that you'll be back in April with us? And again, we should have information by the 25th of March. Today's the 10th already?
Again, until the snow melts, I don't imagine that an engineer would want to
Yeah.
come out as well. So I think,
So-
Should be gone by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, then we'll have another snowstorm.
If we could put it on for next month.
Do you want to put it off till May?
no, I'd rather put it on for this month, and if for some reason we're not going to meet that deadline, I'll
You'll let us
get in
know by
touch
the
with Pam
25th.
and put it on adjournment.
All right, so by March 25th, you're going to let us know one way or another whether you're ready for the April meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I just think we need more information on this one. Okay?
So I will need the environmental assessment form?
Well, you're going to need to provide enough information to the town for us to be able to, whoever's reviewing that, to be able to do that. Contact Pam, or maybe Pam, you'll call him after? All right?
Okay.
We'll have the clerk call you after she's had a conversation with the planner.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, and let's now
Thank
bring
you.
up 3717. Are we discussing that?
The other one, he can't get a survey done. That's what
Oh,
I just
okay.
commented on. He couldn't, with the snow out there, nobody can go out and do a
Okay, so
survey.
again, it's April.
So, yeah, so the other one is, he's already requested the adjournment on. Thank you for
Sure.
connecting the dots. Okay, we'll see you next month,
Thanks.
hopefully.
Yep.
Okay, I need help on this next name, please. Gergich?
How you spell?
I'm spelling it out phonetically. Okay, let's try. Item number 9, Appeal 3721 Gergich, Stephen Gergich. I like that. Representing the White Pond Center, 275 White Pond Road, Stormville, is requesting an interpretation of sections 194-121 and 194-123 of the zoning ordinance for a non-residential site in a residential district. All right. Take us through your application, please, because this one gets a little confusing for us.
Well, currently, White Pond Community Center was first built in the 50s, in the late 50s, and it changed hands quite a few times over the years. It was a daycare center, a private school, and currently it's owned by a nonprofit group called the Pied Piper Youth Theater. It is located in an R3 zone in a neighborhood. Pictures to show.
Can you actually put them on the board there? There's actually a microphone over there if you can, so that it can catch your voice.
Oh, okay. Basically, what we're proposing to do on this is, what I'm looking for is are we going to be able to do this? Are we going to be able to expand this to be able to have performances in this youth theater? Currently, what they're doing is they have classes every day, 5 days a week, and the kids come in around 3, 4 o'clock, and they have the rehearsals for their plays. The plays are given about 8 weekends a year. Currently, what they're doing is
At this center?
not at this center, no.
Oh.
What they're doing is they have the rehearsals at the center. They did at one point have it there, but then it became too big, and they didn't have enough space to
Okay.
do it safely. So right now, they currently go to an elementary school or rent out an auditorium, which is costing quite a bit of money for them.
Okay.
Since it is a nonprofit organization, every penny counts here. So over the years, they have grown, and so what we were proposing to do is they do own this piece of land, and they do own the building.
Okay.
And we're looking to expand it to be able to show performances there around 8 weeks per year on the weekends. The proposal is to add approximately 750 to 1,000 square feet on the upper floor to create basically just a large assembly room.
Okay,
And
can we just clear up one thing to begin with? On your application, you wrote that the owner of the property is John and Bonnie Ryerson.
Yes, they are Pied Piper.
I don't know how this happened,
What?
because it used to be a civic organization.
Well,
that
and
had
that's
a-
what parcel
When
access
did
shows
Pied
the owner.
Piper buy this?
Parcel access shows the owner as 275 White Pond Road.
Center.
No, that's sorry, as White Pond Community Center, Cultural Center, Arts.
I didn't know Pied Piper bought it. I thought they just,
No, they own it.
oh boy.
And
They
how long have
changed
they
their
owned it?
I would imagine that my children have been going there for 4 years, so I would imagine
Longer than
longer
that.
than that.
Well, then it would have
I'm
lost its
sorry, the owners would
nonconformity
be-
right there if we'd have known.
Yeah.
Because it was owned by the community with that 501c3
C3
thing.
status. And so is Pied Piper a 501c3?
Yes.
Right, I don't know that the town's aware of who the current owner is.
We did not know that.
Okay, that's why I'm here. I've called a few times and been told a couple of different things. This is basically, it's going to be all volunteer work to be able to do this. So my time is volunteered, the contractor's time will be volunteered, everyone. I wanted to come in at the beginning of the project and speak with you, just to be able to, to hear that, yes, you can do it as long as it meets all the
Okay, well,
requirements.
let's go to the next issue. The approved use of this property is a nursery school?
That's the only approval I could find. I don't
So
know when or
its
how it got changed.
use as something other than a nursery school,
They have rehearsals for their plays.
so it's an after-school function.
After-school function, yes.
That's not a nursery school.
No, it's not a nursery school.
That's the,
So we got a second issue here. We don't know who owns it.
see,
It's not being used for the approved use, and so now you want to expand a non-conforming, well, the real non-conforming use that's not even grandfathered in essence.
That's what I'm here for.
and that's gonna be your issue.
Yeah.
The statute was passed in 1995, or whenever it was passed. And at that point, it was being used for,
A
it
nursery
is
school.
now, no, I'm just hypothetical.
Okay, go ahead.
So if it was being used as a community center and for plays and rehearsals and all that stuff at that time, and that was continuing until today's date, I think you have a good chance of, okay, that would be allowed to be continued even though you expand the use. It doesn't look like you're gonna meet those terms.
The original
That's what the
threshold,
statute is speculating
This-
upon.
The statute does allow that a non-conforming use can be increased, Mary, by up to 50%.
Yeah.
So if you were looking to expand the nursery school, you could expand it up to 50%.
But since if it's not being used for what you're describing to us to,
No, it's not.
you gotta go back to when the statute was passed, and that's gonna have to be a continuous use.
I think you almost need to clean up the ownership and the use first, and then come into us, because then it's an expansion of existing use.
Okay, so,
But right now, it's not an legal existing use.
okay, so what steps do I need to take?
Mary and John, we need guidance.
First thing on the ownership question, we should take a look at the deed. It'll be at one town hall. We can look at that tomorrow
Okay,
on that score. On the other score, it's a little more complicated, trying to expand a use that isn't a use right now.
And we're not saying it's bad use.
yeah.
It's
No.
just, we've just got to get it so that
So if we
it's
clear up the ownership
clear.
issue,
right.
then would I have to apply for then a use variance for it?
Who defines what the use is?
I mean, it looks
That's
like,
the problem we've had with this place all along, and in looking into it because of this application, the only thing I could ever find is that it's a nursery school.
Right.
I went to the building department here and they had no record of drawings or I
We
couldn't
have
find
nothing,
anything
no.
on it.
The code that allows nursery school, does that allow other
Well, the thing is,
daycare, school
this
uses?
is a residential use.
Right,
A residential zone.
zone.
So we were allowing that to continue
Mhm.
as the nursery school. we thought it was like a community-owned building and just for the people in the community to use.
Right.
I thought Pied Piper was another community use. I
Right.
didn't
If you read
realize
the
that they-
letterhead, it's saying Pied Piper Youth Theater of the White Pond Center.
I
So-
didn't realize that but our records all still show it as 275, which was,
White
The
Pond
community
Cultural
people.
Community Arts.
right,
Yeah.
right. That was the people that used to own it,
So there was no record of a change in hands.
not that I'm
They-
aware
they
of, no.
refer-
Can I give you the information that's in parcel access, just so you can see what
The letter
what
shows
we
it-
have?
the letter shows
Okay,
it
you
as
can
an AKA.
take that with you, and
So I don't know.
Bring it back to the
I
owners?
mean, I really don't know what.
that's what I'm
to
saying.
do
I
at
think the
this
first
point.
issue we've got to resolve is the ownership.
Absolutely.
But even after that, even if we prove that they own it, it doesn't
Well,
necessarily
but
mean
again,
that they
it
can keep using it as that.
is a nursery school and a after-school activity related enough that it could be grandfathered, or it's just not?
I would ask John that question.
I mean, that's why, you look at
I
the
think
detailed
we
site
were letting
plan.
it
I don't, I'm asking. We might have to do some research on that.
I think we were letting it go as a community
Right.
center
Right.
type thing.
Are the kids that attend the center, are they all neighborhood? Or
Yes.
are they coming from all over town?
No, all neighborhood, local.
Especially, I mean, it depends on what you're gonna do this. If it was a community center, which did a lot of things, because you look at the detailed survey, you have a basketball court, you got a sand area, you got other gym equipment and stuff, it looks like. And this was just one
An
part of
ancillary
that,
use.
then maybe you're okay too, as long as it's been as this community center for a long enough time. So, because community centers do a lot of different things.
Right.
If they're now just a theater group, I'm not sure. I mean, then get more to the chair's question, whether if it grew out of that, is that allowed to still go, I think. Why it was always described as a nursery school doesn't make sense to me based on what's here. I mean, you wouldn't have a basketball court for a nursery school. They're
Well,
probably not very good
actually,
at getting
in
that
part of the
ball.
minutes, it
Not
also,
unless the net's awfully low.
no, the town rep does something up there too. If you read through the minutes that I gave you guys,
Yeah.
it did have some kind of use for the town recreation.
Does that
That's
continue?
what I thought was
No.
up there.
No, okay.
I don't know
The
how it got
owners
switched.
actually, they've told me they've had neighborhood kids coming there, and they told them not to play there, because it was
You want
private
to speak
property.
to them and find out before.
Yeah, then it's not really a
I think
neighborhood
you need to
community
get it from-
center.
I think you need to get it from them exactly, describe what the issues are. And
Well, it was
see-
because of, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It's probably insurance purposes, right?
Well, but speak to them.
Exactly,
Well,
exactly.
speak to them and see where this grew out of and whether there's any connection to the prior use, what's going on. If there's no connection to a prior use, then that
I
existed
almost-
at the time of the statute passing, then you're not, the answer's gonna be no.
Okay.
I'm gonna suggest maybe we need to have you come in and have a sit-down
Yes, it's
discussion.
just two things, we'll get the deed,
Yeah.
then go sit down with the
Yeah,
gentleman.
Okay.
let's
Look
have,
at the use, yes.
let's have you come in one day and sit in with the professionals and just, let's figure this out.
Should I bring the owner also and
I
That
would
would be
suggest
helpful.
so.
Knowledge.
have
I
them
think
bring
so,
all the
because
paperwork?
I don't want you locking them into something that you're saying is their representative, which may
Right.
not be technically correct.
Yeah.
That's why I'm sort of telling you.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Speak
They
to
were
them
supposed to
first.
be here, but the woman's mother is
Fine.
ill, so
Okay.
she couldn't come.
We understand.
Do you have someone with 20-year knowledge of the property? 10, 15?
I explained to them to learn more, as much history as possible on the site that they could. They did tell me that it was a nursery school at one point, and it was used as a community center at one point. That was as far as the history that they told me.
I think there was a church in there at one point briefly.
We have to understand this better before I think this board can proceed with it.
Certainly.
Okay,
We
so
need to
deal
nail
with
it
the ownership
down.
issue first, and then, like I said,
Okay.
set up an appointment to meet with John and Mary and work through Pam. All right,
Okay.
she'll work with you to set that up. And let's resolve what the history of this is, what its current use is, so that we know whether we can consider it an existing use that you're
Okay.
looking to expand upon. Okay? I don't want anybody to waste anybody's time. Thank you. All right, I haven't seen anybody else come in terms of Ms. Scheuer. No, in terms of, hold on.
Three daughters.
There was a second quote. Well, yeah, they're beside her.
Three daughters holdings.
Three daughters holding, so I don't see anybody coming in for Lehigh Landscaping here. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Hold on.
Wait 1 second. In Bermudez's decision,
Yes.
you have on the last page, B, that the 10-foot setback was expanded in 85, was done in 2008.
Oh, okay, so we need
So
to,
can I just-
so Barbara made the motion on that, and the second was
I did,
Aziz. So can we, Barbara, do you agree that with the
I
correction?
read it in, so,
as amended.
as corrected.
Yeah, because we would just want to make sure it reflects the right dates.
Okay.
And you
Second.
agree with the second? All in favor of the amendment? Aye.
Aye.
Good. All right, we're all set. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Now, motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. And Jim, you might not have heard, but Stewart's, the planning board has not declared themselves